technical person. So for me, it's key that the powerful measurements, as it is called, this talk is about. Okay, we have, for example, we have temperature values, we have light level values, we have CO2 values, but we do not transmit just this data to the facility maintenance team. We digest it, we find patterns on it, and we say exactly to the maintenance team, because the temperature was 2 degrees higher than the past Tuesday, it means that someone manipulated the thermostat, and it means that each day that is it's passing, you are over-consuming 20% more. So take the immediate action of fixing it. Okay, so we are extremely focused on that point, on going to the value or going to a service, not for the by the measurement by itself. I don't know if many of you work with data or with this kind of business, but I'm sure if you do so, you had the same problem or the same challenge when trying to explain or to say, okay, translate me this to money, and this is by far the major challenge that we had.
I have a question for you. It's quite interesting, but I was thinking about the use of these kind of tools. And I realized that last year there was a huge opportunity since the government put this new regulation that every building needs to have measurements on the temperature, on the humidity, and also they had this energy efficiency regulation that makes it compulsory to do not have more than 25 degrees or 26. How it affects your business?
Yeah, in our case here. So there's a trade-off between savings and comfort, because if you don't know what to use any kind of energy, okay, turn down the whole building, and everyone is in a super extreme cold, but you're using energy. So there's a trade-off, as I said, between comfort and savings, and here is also another key point. So when you try, for example, in this pavilion, we are mainly 25, 26 degrees now, a little bit hotter than the outside. But for example, in a standard winter day, we should have this pavilion at 90, 20 degrees. But what happens? People start to complain and people start to say they are not okay.
Comfortable.
And then the facility maintenance team or the guy in charge of this, I cannot manage more battles, and they, for example, increase the temperature. So for us, it has been a kind of one more reason to buy, but trying to have people happy, because, for example, here all the consumption that is happening now is just or only to have people in a good condition. So there's nothing more than that.
Understood. I was asking because many times when we are talking about data and we are talking about energy, there are some kind of laws or regulation that affects our core business, and this is why we have to be always paying attention, because sometimes a new regulation may help you to have more customers, or when, for example, sometimes happen that there is a real need for customers, but with the law it's even more needed, because they need to provide all of these details to be compliance. So it's quite interesting. In our case at Jovin, basically I wanted to talk with you about some use cases. In fact, I'm going to talk just about 2 of them. One of them is with public institutions. We are working with some public institutions such as the Country Basque, and basically we are helping households that are in a little bit poverty situation, in energy poverty situation. And basically what they want us to do is allow them to manage and also to control their energy consumption. And for example, last year in the winter, we realized that there were many households with tides that had like 13 or 14 degrees at home, and that's not something very good, and it's not comfort zones. And when we discovered this fact, they put these kind of social services in hands of these families, and they give them a kind of tips or grants to help them to be more comfortable at home, because these little boys were having cold. And also, we are working with the other side of the coin. We are working with the utilities. Basically, we started working with them like 1.5 years ago, and it is a reality that is very hard for them to provide a service that is different, because we always switch on the lights and the light is there, but there is not like very powerful tools that allows them to engage with the user, to make a differentiation, to make something different. And this is why we are working with top utilities in the market. And basically what we have built for them is this platform that combines like the energy data. Basically we can collect the data from every Spanish smart meter. We all have smart meters at home. We collect all of this data. We have like 2 years of history on the data, and based on that we can provide like recommendations, but just for you, such as for example, hey, you have more powerful, or you have more power on your contract than the one you really need, so reduce your demand. Or for example, we are also working with them in providing like a smart home devices such as thermostats or air condition, and this is because there are some use cases out of Spain that are in the demand response side. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this topic, but that means like put in contact and between offer and supply, or supply and demand. And in the energy market, nearly 60% of the energy that is right now is coming from renewable energy sources, and that means that you cannot set off the sun. You have to use this energy, and this is why sometimes you can help the households to, for example, switch on the air condition, because the energy prices are lower than if they use it in another time, for example. So basically we are starting to collaborate in this demand response side. Basically, we have been talking about our business, or about some cases, but it's quite important to talk about the opportunity cost. What is the opportunity cost of do not measure? Because we have always in our mind this sentence of you cannot improve what you cannot measure. Is it really true? What do you think?
Yeah, for me it's the same than before, that it's how to have a super strong argument to say to the potential client once you are measuring all that data and you need to transform it to savings, not for that example. So we also use this kind of concept that, for example, it's not the cost of having Orpheus installed on your building, it's the cost of not having it. Okay, for example, in a couple of weeks ago, working for a super known food multinational company, they said, yeah, we have a headquarters in Barcelona, that everything is okay, we are we are within the law with everything, and super comfort. And then they tried Orpheus. We gathered data for just 2 weeks. Okay, and we found 2 hours per day on average on each meeting room, the air quality levels were above the law here in Spain, for example. Then they also figured it out that in a super big open space area, someone just manipulated the thermostat and it was not behaving as they were expecting. Okay, and that's the key. So we have a measurement that we can translate to kind of to a second level measurement. That is, we measure temperature over time, for example. We translate it when is it, at what set point it is working at what hours, okay? And then we can calculate, for example, during 1 week of having 2 more degrees, as I said before, it can be translated to euros to that amount, okay? And when you can arrive to that like kind of wow moment, so it is super easy for people to understand that you cannot, for example, take a picture. I mean, just do a measurement once per day, because you are losing all the behavior, that all the exceptional things that are happening on office. And we focus on there. We calculate all the potential savings that we can that we can give to the client, and then they open their eyes super fast, and not talking about data, but talking about the cost of not being measuring that data.
Exactly. Thank you very much for the explanation. In my case, if I want to go a little bit deeper in these like pros and cons of these kind of measurements, I have to talk about again the two sides of the coin, because from the one side we have the final user, and probably we all will be measuring all of our energy consumption at home. If it is not now, if your company is not giving or providing all of this data soon, they will be doing it later, because there are some regulation that makes it compulsory for the companies to provide you with your data, because it can allows you to make like decisions about when or how or when to use the energy at your household. But there is another side of the coin which is quite important also. So it's not only about savings in terms of household, it is about savings in terms of our big customer, which are the utilities, because when they don't provide all of this data, it's because sometimes they have something to hide, or because maybe they are charging more, or because they don't want the user to have this kind of empowerment to make different choices. So basically there is a cost over there which is called churn. And what does it mean? It means that when you are not providing a good service, you are not providing that data that you collect from the user, and you are not trying to differentiate yourself with this kind of digital platform and data, that means a lot of costs in terms of churn and customer losing. So basically, this is a little bit what is important, that we try to put in contact and to add value to both of them. Not only to our customer, that is the one who pays, but also for the user, who is the one that receives the data. And also we always try to make them like personalizations, recommendations, tips, so they can reduce even more their energy consumption. I have a question for you, Carles. When we are talking about our company, we are talking about past, we are talking about present, we are talking about our actual business models. But if we think about the future, what do you expect for Orpheus?
Yeah, for us, now we are having ventilation, climatization, and lighting that they stands for roughly the half of the bill at the end of the month. But yeah, now we are starting to work also to improve the cleaning services. That it's the second budget, the second major budget for a professional building. Because today, I don't know if it happens at your offices, but there's a cleaning team that does from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and they do the same route, for example, every day, without taking into account if that space of that toilet was occupied or not, okay, or what spaces were more hot and they need more attention by them. So this is also like another kind of wasting of energy and also of resources on there. And also multinationals are starting to think about it a lot, and they are we started to develop new features on that direction because they asked it for us. So yeah, I think that here we have the third major impact that we can do in terms of energy and use of resources in buildings.
Amazing. In our case, when we think about the future, it's good to come back to the origins. And what does it mean? We were born with the idea of helping households to reduce their energy footprint and also to get savings and to have a better understanding of their energy usage and all of these things. And when we think about the future, we do not think in open new verticals, such as, for example, industries, or we do not think about implement our software in buildings. We want to stay at a household level and we want to hit the market. And if we are not providing our service through utilities to 40-50% of the population in Spain, at least we would love to be like the sticker or the reference where other utilities comes to see what's going on or what's going to happen. In terms of the energy market in Spain, probably you know that we are the country of the sun, and also we will be like a renewable energy source not only for Spain but also for Europe, and that means that there is a lot of technology to develop, and also a lot of new business models that are coming. I talked before about this demand response thing, and I think that there is a lot of future there in terms of reducing inefficiencies in the market, but also there are opportunities like in the B2C market. There are in Spain only 4 or 5 big utilities, and the majority of the regular ones has disappeared on the last energy crisis. So why not to one day become a neo-utility in the sector, having all of the knowledge and all of the learnings and putting them in the market. To conclude, I think that we will have like this kind of 1-minute pitch. So it's your turn if you want to tell whatever you want.
Yeah, for me, the kind of takeaway about it or about the last 5 years sleeping kind of 5 or 6 hours a day, it is not try to speak to a client like a techie guy or like talking, as I said, about data, but getting rid of that. That is just a mean. It's the vehicle to arrive to the value, to the savings, as we said, to what they really need, and not about the technology, because it is mainstream today.
Yeah, in our case, we have been also 4 years developing the platform, learning about the market, and if I have to say something, is that the opportunity has never been better, not only because the energy crisis looks like it's ending up, but because utilities have now realized that they need to engage with the users, or they will move easily from ones to others. And also, with all of these new regulation, such as CAES or other kind of energy efficiency policies coming from Europe, that means that we will have to implement this kind of measurement tools, and also this kind of energy advisory for the households, if we want to end like with all of this energy consumption that Spain has committed with the European Union.